Hello, and welcome to this latest episode of Momentum. I'm your host, Philip Allison. Joining us today is an Associate Professor of Electrical and Computer Engineering, Dr. Brian Jones. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for welcoming me.
Glad to have you here. So you teach what I think is one of the more interesting classes within the college, and that is Senior Design in Electrical and Computer Engineering. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about the class and how it's structured?
Certainly. So I think Senior Design is just such a pleasure to be a part of when you see the amazing thing the students create. And as the title would imply, Senior Design is all about taking the students and giving them a design experience where instead of going through a series of textbook problems of pre-packaged laboratory experiences, throw them out and let them create something new that has never been seen before.
And so they split up into groups and they are working to design an actual product that could conceivably be marketed in the world. Is that something that you push the students to do, or is that maybe just an interesting byproduct of certain projects?
So we do certainly focus on entrepreneurship. Students attend 3 entrepreneurship lectures during the semester, and we're actively working with Eric Hill in the Entrepreneurship Center to strengthen those connections. It's certainly not a required outcome, but when we see that happen, that's something we get excited about when students take their vision and actually pursue that to commercialization.
So are the students assigned projects, or do they get to come up with them on their own based on their own interests and experiences?
Exactly as you said, we believe that students are going to be most motivated and driven by a project that they have come up with. So students propose a project, then I go back and forth. I want to make sure the project is feasible and realistic and that sort of thing, so we refine it together, and then they go and pursue and create that dream.
And it basically takes them the entire semester to do that for the most part? Or?
In fact, the course is a 2-semester sequence. So in the first semester, they'll create a working prototype. At the end of the semester, it does work, but there may be some duct tape and wires hanging out. At the end of the second semester, it's a fully packaged, ready to go to market product. So it'll be in a nice case, it'll have a printed circuit board and some of the nicer cleanup things. They'll have developed a business plan as part of that entrepreneurship initiative. And so that's what the 2-semester sequence looks like.
Gotcha. And the goal, I would assume, is to have, like you said, an actual finished product. It's not good enough to just have the prototype at the end of the second semester.
Right. So we are looking for something that works and is packaged well, and as in many cases a waterproof design. Students will propose things that need to be immersed or things like that. So yeah, a fully functional design.
And are these projects designed to solve maybe specific problems in the world, or are some of them maybe a little more humorous and fun to work on? How does that usually break down?
It's a little bit of everything. We see students, because it really is up to the student's imagination to create things. So I know on a previous episode we talked about a solar panel cleaning robot that students came up with. We've had students that were interested in hunting, and they developed a training mechanism to explain to the dog where to go without using voice that would scare off ducks during a hunt. We've had students just create a wide variety of projects.
Yeah, so it sounds like they really run the gamut.
They do.
Yeah, and it sounds like an interesting approach to teaching where students are working on actual projects as opposed to just sitting in class and learning lecture-based material. Are you able to use that approach in any of the other classes that you work with?
So I've been piloting project-based learning in one of my microprocessors courses I'm teaching over the summer. And I've had some feedback from students, first of all saying, oh my goodness, this is so challenging, because again, we're handing them real-world problems rather than nicely packaged, pre-solved problems. Mm-hmm. And yet some students are also coming to me and saying, I can actually do this. I can create these things. I didn't realize I had that capability. And that's where I get so excited, is when students realize how capable and competent they really are.
Right. It seems like it would be a motivating factor for these students to say, I'm creating something, I'm working hard on something that it has practical applications.
Absolutely. And from a employment perspective, here's what you do when you come to an employer. You say, I've already built this thing. You want to hire an engineer. I am already an engineer, and I've had multiple design experiences throughout my curriculum. I think that's a really strong statement that our students can make.
Right. And it seems like a very progressive way to teach students. And I know that another thing that you've looked at is interactive ebooks and how that affects learning in the 21st century environment.
Exactly, because we're seeing more and more learners. The traditional textbook is just not as effective as it used to be in reaching today's learners. And that's our goal, is always, how do we interact with and really do the best possible job to bring our students into the process and give them those knowledge, those tools to make them incredible engineers. And so through this interactive ebook, suddenly they are looking at a textbook that's written in a very different style. Rather than telling them everything about a topic, tell them a little bit and then ask questions, and they'll get immediate feedback. Is this right? Is this wrong? And let them learn based on getting problems wrong and learning immediately from that. So that's one advantage I see immediately from interactive ebooks.
Yeah, that sounds like a really interesting way to move forward with learning in this century. So, Brian, thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
When you're the best, everyone wants to see what you'll do next. At Mississippi State University, our team of world-class rocket engineers is venturing beyond boundaries, building rockets like none before. We're launching a new era of space exploration. We've developed cutting-edge technology that's helping us build a rocket that can travel at 4 times the speed of sound. Fast? Yes. But more importantly, revolutionary. For you and for a space program that produces many of the conveniences we enjoy today. We're shaping your life in ways you never dreamed. What's next? Watch us and see. It's been said that where there's water, there's life. For some parts of the world, that simple truth has never been more evident. Fields aren't getting the water they need. Fertilizer is washing into nearby rivers and streams, and harm to the environment is rising. At Mississippi State University, we're working to change this. By designing and implementing better irrigation solutions, we're collecting, conserving, and recycling nutrient-rich water, allowing us to reduce waste, secure the livelihoods of farmers, and pave the way for a safer, cleaner environment for fish and wildlife. But we're not stopping there. We're taking the process developed in our own backyard and applying it to a global stage. So whether it's Israel, the Philippines, or Indianola, Mississippi, we're ensuring simple truths endure, that where there's water, there's life, and where there's ingenuity at work, there's Mississippi State University.
Welcome back. Our next guest is a new face within the Bagley College of Engineering. It's admissions coordinator Stacy Wolfe. Stacy, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me today.
And as we said, you're a relatively new face. You're an admissions coordinator, and I would imagine that is exactly what it sounds like. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your role?
Yeah, so I am the very first admissions coordinator the college has ever seen. So we're really excited for me to meet with prospective students and families and to really encourage students to explore a career in engineering and the different opportunities that we have to offer them with our 12 different major opportunities.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I would imagine that you see students, prospective students on a regular basis. Do you have a typical day or maybe a typical week?
So that's the fun part, is there's no typical week. I'm traditionally meeting with students every day of the week, multiple times a day. I hold sessions and private visits, so I really do my best to accommodate our students' needs and make sure I can meet their schedule needs, so we can tell them all the great things we have to offer.
So I would imagine that you see high school students and you give them tours of the college and the things that are going on, and I know you mentioned you meet one-on-one with them. What are some of the things that they typically ask you?
So with those questions, we tend to hear a lot about co-ops and internships. We have a really strong co-op and internship program where over 270 companies come and recruit our students. And so our prospective students want to hear more about where they're going to go after they graduate. And they also want to learn about the classes they're going to take. Are they going to get hands-on experience with labs? What type of maybe electives they get to take to really tailor to their interest area.
It's interesting to hear high school students already thinking about graduating from college, but I guess that's a good way to approach it. Mm-hmm. Maybe is there a question that you don't get asked that you want students to know about? Like what are the issues that you want to make sure that prospective students understand?
I want to make sure every student understands that they're going to get a hands-on, student-focused engineering experience at Mississippi State. That's not something students would ever really think to ask, but it's something I make sure every student leaves knowing that they're going to get lab experience, they're going to learn beyond the textbook, and they're going to leave with a practical engineering degree ready to work.
Yeah. So when students are interested in engineering here at Mississippi State, when is the best time for them to reach out to you?
Junior and senior year is traditionally when we see students wanting to reach out. We'll see sometimes freshman and sophomore year when we've got students who've already started creating projects. But I really like to talk to juniors and seniors too, because that's where we really get to start talking about ACT exams, what classes they can be taking to really prepare them for their freshman year of college.
And do you find that students basically already know what they want to major in, or do you counsel them on the different departments within the college?
So we see a mix of both. We'll have some students where they had an experience or they have a family member who was a specific major and they come in knowing exactly what they want to do. But we do have a great handful of students who don't know what they want to do, and that is a really unique opportunity for me because I get to talk through and ask questions that maybe they wouldn't be asked traditionally to really find what major can fit their interests. And sometimes I get to inspire them on new things they never knew existed.
And I know you are new in your role, but you've also started a new organization within the college to kind of help you with the recruiting process, and that's the Engineering Recruitment Leaders. Why don't you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so Engineering Recruitment Leaders is a group of undergraduate students who are really passionate about their engineering experience here and want to make sure prospective students and families know the great things that we have to offer them from a student perspective. Because I can talk to you all day long as a staff member, but sometimes it's really great to hear from another student.
Right, and do those students go on the tours with the prospective students?
They'll sometimes meet one-on-one, but they'll help me host information sessions, maybe walk them to some labs. They're really open to either writing students, communicating with them, and meeting with them in person.
Yeah, that sounds like a really great resource to have when you're talking with prospective students.
It's awesome. We love them.
If a student is interested in engineering, you mentioned kind of junior, senior year is the time to reach out to you. Is there a best way to get a hold of you? Should they be looking online for information? Maybe just kind of walk through the process of how students can get information about the college.
Absolutely. So if you look on the website, I'm found it under our staff link under the Bagley College of Engineering, but we also created a general admissions email for the college that I check. It's admissions@bagley.msstate.edu. Email me. I'm the one that responds to that, and I'd love to set up a meeting, phone conversation, or get you scheduled for a campus tour.
Yeah, that sounds great. So we know that the future students, that you have a large part in helping them to get here. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Stacy. That's all the time that we have for this month's episode of Momentum. Remember that you can follow the Bagley College of Engineering on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, or you can see us online at bagley.msstate.edu. Thanks for joining us.